Welcome to this video in which I'm going to be analyzing the Duke Fuqua MBA application for the year 2018-2019. So this is for the class of 2021, right? So let's kind of dive right away into the application deadline. So as you know, there is round 1, round 2, round 3, October 10th. Okay, if you apply in round 1, for which the interview decision would be sent on November 8th, and you'll get to know by December 13th. If you apply in round 2, which is January 3rd, which is typically the post-Christmas, post-New Year round 2 deadlines that most USB schools have, you will get to know your interview by Jan 31st, and the decision dates for those are March 18th. Round 3, round of death, round that I would not advise you to apply, but still the deadline is March 20th for it, in which case you would get to know the interviews by April 10th and the final decision by April 29th. All of this is in the Duke website, but what is important, especially with regards to the Duke application, is the early action round, which is September 12th. Which means you will get to know the interview by September 25th and then the final decision by October 19th. Now, if Duke happens to be one of the schools that you're really gunning for, my suggestion would be to apply for the early action round. Okay, if not the first round, the early action round, right? So rather, let me rephrase it. If not the early action round, then the first round, correct? Because the early action round really tells them that you're committed. Right? So it tells them that, look, Duke is my number one school. It is not something that I'm saying for the sake of it, but really I'm willing to tell you that if I get accepted at Duke, I will not apply anywhere else. That's the whole deal with early action round, right? So make sure you apply early, either early action round or the first round. Last year, typically around 4,000 students applied and about 433 gotten, right? When I say 433 gotten, 433 is the class strength. Compared to many of the top schools, it is still slightly on the lower end. Okay, if you compare it to, let's say, Wharton or Harvard. So it's slightly on the lower end, but still, I think the main thing here is Duke focuses so much on the personal stuff. It focuses so much on who you are as a person, which is why surprisingly the median GMAT score is just around 710, which is a lot lower than many of its peer competitor schools where it hovers around the 720, 730 mark, right? In fact, if I remember last year, it was even lower than 710. So in that sense, Duke, if you talk about it, if you go to their website, I think one strong message that comes through is Team Fuqua, right? So they believe in teamwork. So that's the whole idea. The culture is about teamwork. So a lot of your essays, a lot of what they're looking at in interview is how are you? How do you play in a team? Are you a person who will thrive in such an environment? Healthcare has always been one of the strong points. As an Indian, if you're not in healthcare, don't even talk about healthcare, because getting H-1B visas in healthcare has been a little dicey, especially in the last couple of years. But apart from that, it's known for healthcare. The other interesting thing about Fuqua that I've heard from students, so at Crack Verbal, we have had many students who have gone into this program over the last several years. And one thing that I've heard from them is during the first year, during the core courses, that time itself, there are a lot of, the electives can be taken in such a way that you can actually play it into your internship, right? So usually the first year, the core courses are very rigid. But in the case of Fuqua, you have this career-oriented academic scheduling, right? Which makes it more flexible for you even before you get into your first year internship, right? Now let's get more specific into the essays. Like last year, in fact, a couple of years, they have had the same thing. They have 3 required career goals essays, okay? Very clean. You have about 100 words for each one. First question, what are your short-term goals post-MBA? Very clean, very crisp, 100 words. I need you to tell me what is it that you're going to do. Along with that, tell me how would a day in your life look like? correct? So try to talk about your immediate post-MBA goal, right? If you're going to say consulting, talk about the kind of consulting work that you will do. Talk about what would you do in consulting. Don't just say, I want to go to McKinsey. You need to tell what is it that you bring, what will you do over there? Are you looking at digitizing companies? So whatever your take is, you need to talk about that. One mistake that a lot of people do is short-term goals. They start talking about like why MBA and why, what is their background and stuff. No, just tell me post-MBA, what will you do? Second question, what are your long-term goals? Unlike short-term goals, where you need to be very specific, long-term goals, you have, a little bit of leeway, right? You have a little bit of this thing that you may choose to talk about something that you're passionate about, but don't talk about some random thing, right? So it should be aligned to what you have been doing. And you need to have a clear why to say, why is that my long-term goal? So I would not really bother about what my long-term goal is, as long as I'm clear, why is it my long-term goal, correct? Because they are expecting that things change, circumstances change, technology changes, and so much around you is not going to be the same. So they assume that your business plan will evolve, especially after you go through a B school. But why you are doing that will always be constant, right? So that becomes your motivation. Third essay, very interesting. Life is full of uncertainties and plans and circumstances can change. As a result, navigating a career requires you to be adaptable. Should the short-term goals that you provided above not materialize, what alternative directions have you considered? Now, a great question. I think all of you need to prepare for this question, even for other schools, because really this is your plan B question, right? What happens if you don't get into your intended, post-MBA career path? What's your backup, right? My suggestion, two things over here. One, I've seen a mistake that students make is they say, well, I will do this, but then I'll go back to my, goal of getting back to consulting. Don't do that. Talk about something very different. What is important is that you're able to connect it with your long-term goal, right? So you should be able to say, you know what, long-term goal entrepreneurship, for example, I can go through as a consultant or I can go through as a product manager, correct? So if not consulting, I would like to do product management, right? So you are talking about two different industries over here. So that's what I would say. Again, you have 100 words, so you can describe what you will do. The only difference over here is you want to probably add how it will eventually lead to the same, long-term career goals. So if you are able to map it to your long-term career goals, great. Okay. So probably spend at least a sentence or two talking about that. And that brings me to the favorite part of the Fuqua application, which is the 25 random things essay. You would have probably read it. But I'll just read it for you. The admission committee also wants to get to know you beyond the professional and academic achievements listed in your resume and transcript. You can share with us important life experiences, your likes and dislikes, hobbies, achievements, fun facts, or anything that helps us understand what makes you who you are. Share with us your list of 25 random things about you. Okay, so here is a cool exercise that you can do. So this is great, even for knowing ourselves better, correct? Not just from a B school perspective. So what you can do is, you can take a bunch of post-it notes, correct? And what you can do is take a wall, right? Maybe it's just in your room, or maybe take a large board. And what you can do is, you can create, different sections, right? The first section could be called childhood, right? So your growing up years, your time when you were in school, right from the time you were born actually. The second section would be about your college days, because I think that significantly changes who we are. So something about college, something about work, right? So the third thing would be work, okay? Fourth, you could have something about your extracurricular interests and passion, okay? Just keep one for that. And the fifth one, keep it only for your quirks, your personality, something unique about you, that you have developed, something that you have always had. So put that as your fifth, right? So just to reiterate, childhood, college, work, extracurriculars / hobbies, fifth, personality, correct? Now what I want you to do is take these post-it, okay? Try to write as much as possible. So let's start with childhood, right? Anything unique about your name that you think is interesting? Some story that you heard from your parents about how perhaps you were swapped for another baby, right? Mistakes happen in hospitals. So did something of that sort happen? Talk about your growing up years. Anything interesting? Anything about your family that you think we would like to know, correct? Do not try to retrofit this whole MBA story over here. This is not to say you're a born leader. Mistake that people do is over here, they start thinking like, right from 8-5, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Please don't write that, okay? Don't try to retrofit. Just try to be interesting. They want to see who's this person. They want to say, you know what, I want to meet this person. I want to talk to him. I want to see him on campus, right? That's what you need to evoke. Then let's get to college, right? So one mistake that you might end up doing, very, very, very important, keep your resume, keep your application in front of you. You have already written a lot. Don't repeat anything that is in your resume. Don't tell them which college you graduated from. Don't tell them what was your specialization. Don't tell them about any project. Tell them fun stuff. You could even say that you married your college sweetheart, right? So people think, oh wow, can I say that in an MBA application? The Fuqua MBA 25 random things allows you. And I know my students who have written real personal stuff and it was funny, but at the same time gave a perspective of who they were. So talk about college. Maybe there is something that you learned when you are in college. Maybe that was the first time you stayed away from home. Maybe that was the first time you learned how to cook, right? Whatever, you could talk about that. Work. If childhood and college had a lot of things, work will also have a lot of things. Again, don't talk about work-related projects. Gets boring, right? Something that happened at work, maybe in the cafeteria, maybe about your choices, maybe you again moved cities, something interesting about your work, something interesting about your project, something that you learned, something that you did. Okay, again, no repetition of your resume. Fourth, your hobbies, your likes, your dislikes. Here I've had students tell things like, whenever I see a 4-digit number in a car registration plate, I automatically start multiplying, subtracting the numbers. So it's just me. I've been doing that for many years, but it's a weird quirk that I have. Someone else said that they need to set, so this is a person who actually played the guitar, and he said, there is this one tune I have never been able to play. It's almost like I'm jinxed. Every time I play that, it just goes off. Now, think about it. He has written the fact that he knows guitar as a hobby. But this is a very funny thing, right? Oh, wow, how is it? Like, he's just not able to play a tune. It's just jinxed in his head. Tells me something about that person, right? So this is the things that you like. Maybe you like solving Sudoku puzzles, right? Maybe that's a hobby, right? So you say that every day morning, I start my day by solving a Sudoku puzzle. Maybe that's your extracurricular. So it need not be big, right? It can even be a small thing. Last one, personality. Who are you as a person? What are the weird things that you have done in life, right? These are things that are unexplainable, right? Inexplicable. For example, I've had students write things like, I need 5 cups of coffee, in the morning before I really get into the groove. I know it's not a good thing, but hey, that's me. I've had another student talk about the fact that she sets alarms, like 5 different alarms spaced at random intervals. So like 6:03, 6:12, 6:15. So, so that she kind of wakes up. I've had people talk about how they hate brinjal, right? They love eating everything vegetarian, but brinjal is something that they don't know. They have never tasted brinjal. So it could be anything about you that is personal to you, correct? Now what happens when you have this whole wall? filled with this bunch of post-it notes. Don't stop here. Go talk to your siblings, talk to your mother, talk to your father, talk to your friends, talk to people you have worked with. Maybe call up this college buddy and say, hey, I'm writing this. Can you tell me something weird that happened in college, right? Call up a school friend, hey, what's up? What weird things did I do in school? So when you start talking to people, you will also start building a lot more stories, right? We have worked with a lot of candidates. In case you are applying to Fuqua, you are worried, what are the 25 things? Are these the right things? I would love to have a chat with you. So please write to us in the email and the phone number, okay? And we can have a conversation on that. With that, I'm going to go on to the next question, the required question, which is about the Fuqua community and you. Here it just says that it should be no more than 2 pages in length. And the question says, Fuqua prides itself on cultivating a culture of engagement. Our students enjoy a wide range of student-led organizations that provide opportunities for leadership development and personal fulfillment, as well as an outlet for contributing to society. Our student-led government clubs, centers and events are an integral part of the student culture and are vital to providing you with a range of experiential learning and individual development experiences. Based on your understanding of the Fuqua culture, how do you see yourself engaging and contributing to our community outside of the classroom? Fantastic question, because if you're going to pay all that money and you're going to land up at a B school, you better know what you're going to do there for the 2 years. I've had a lot of students come and tell me by the time you reach the second year, your schedule is pretty much up to you. You get to pick and choose what you want to do, what electives, what student bodies you want to be part of, what cultural events you want to be part of, and that pretty much is going to be your whole day. First thing, research, right? We have some info about the Fuqua school in our website as well, but research at the Fuqua website, talk to people, try as much as possible to know more, right? Now that you know all the things that happens outside the classroom, and by the way, let me tell you, this is true for most top schools, you will learn more outside the classroom than you would learn inside the classroom, right? That experience is going to be really rich. And most MBA programs are made in such a way that your experiences will always be, a little different, based on what experiences you choose to have. So what I would then do is I would pick my top 4, okay? 3 to 4. I don't think the number should exceed more than 4. What I do with these 3 or 4 things is I will talk about the club now. Here is where you have to be very different, right? Don't just say things. Like one mistake that people do, I saw what the technology club does at Fuqua. I'd be interested in participating in the technology club, and then they talk about, stuff that they have done. Bad approach. Here is what you need to do. Try to approach it in 3 ways. First, what club or activity or, thing that I would do alongside my, studies. First, identify that. Second, tell how will that club help meet your aspirations? How it will help you in your future goal? How will it enhance who you are as a person? Third, and this is where the most important thing comes. How can you contribute? What will you do? To say that I'll be part of the consulting club is just one thing, right? Say that, as part of the consulting club, one thing that really interests me, okay, is the fact that there is this leadership series. And as part of the leadership series, you call really eminent personalities. And I was just looking at the profiles of people who came in, and I would love to do that because that would give me the challenge, and I've done this and blah, blah, blah. You get the drift, right? So the reason I said 4 is you ought to fit it into 2 pages. So you probably have 4 clear paragraphs. And then as always, all essays, make sure very strong beginning, very strong ending. And if you're able to tie the beginning with the ending, great, nothing like it, right? So my suggestion, that's how you should approach it. They have an optional essay. I would, I've always given this advice. Optional essays, I would play it by the ear. I would probably just make sure that I talk about something that is significant. Okay, either a gap in my career, very low GMAT scores, in which case you should not be applying, but still very low GMAT scores, or it could be something very weird, like I've had students who have already done their MBA, right? So they're going for a second MBA, so they felt that optional essay could be a great place to write that. So whatever you think is significant, please put that over there. And I hope this video was useful. I hope you liked the advice that I gave. I would love to hear your comments, your feedback, and also any particular questions about challenges that you have faced, any random thing about you that you're not sure you want to put in the essay. Make sure you go ahead and comment below. You can always write to us, let us know if there is a way in which we can work together. And if you like this video and you want to share it with others, please go ahead and subscribe and share this video. We would be more than happy to spread the message. Thank you.